The Barrel House is brought to you by you, the listener, and those of you who have chosen to support the show over at patreon.com/barrelhouse, especially our whiskey legend and out of your mind tier patrons. Without you, the show wouldn't be possible. Hello, and welcome to the Barrel House. Hello and welcome back to the Barrel House. I am your host, Joe Kane, and this is the podcast for everybody who likes whiskey. Let's go on a journey together. Let's experience it. Let's love it. Let's drink it, and let's not make any terrible decisions. Maybe. That's up to you and each one of us individually. Today is going to be a fun one. Today we're talking about Starlight Distilleries, sherry cask finish, bourbon, and this is actually a store pick single barrel cask strength sherry cask finish that I've got here today, and I'm really excited about it. Before we dig into it, as always, I have to thank everybody over at patreon.com/barrelhouse who helps out the show. It goes a really long way. If you can tell from my shirt, I'm recording this back to back with the episode that posted, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, which would be the Ardbeg Ugadal, which I'm assuming I got great feedback on. Everybody bought it and everybody loved it. I'm sure that's what happened. All of this is made possible by people over at Patreon, and I'm going to do the same thank yous, I guess I did just a couple minutes ago, and thank everybody who has been there for sticking it out while I sorted out some stuff in my personal life, and everybody who is considering joining. Do it. Do it. Do it. No, if you can, if you want to, do it. There's going to be a little bit of a shuffling of the perks. I really appreciate everybody who has stuck it out for me through all this stuff, but it's become clear I got more people who subbed on at the higher tiers than I thought would. And the problem with that for me was the higher tiers require a lot of extra work, which they should because they're higher tiers. I didn't think anybody was going to give me the highest tier numbers, and they did, and that's a lot of extra work that I don't have time for right now. So what I'm going to do is adjust the rewards slightly so that I can actually fulfill them. I figure the people who want to give me the higher rewards would rather get something than promises that when I get caught up, they will get their rewards. So everybody who's been subbed at those higher tiers will get all the things that's coming to them. And everybody who comes in at those higher tiers in the future will get what the promise is. But you don't have to go to the higher tiers. If you want to give me $1 a month, like buy me 1/5 of one shot a month. Isn't that like nothing? 1/5 of one shot. Don't you love me enough to buy me 1/5 of one shot per month? You can do it. So if you want to give me $1, you want to give me $5, you want to give me $3, you want to give me $6, you want to be like Greg and Joe and give me $20, that's totally up to you. Whatever you want to give me, it definitely helps. It goes into, you might know this is expensive, and I have refused to take bottles or money or sponsorships or whatever, glassware from companies because I do not want to be biased in my reviews. And I do not want to put ads in this show. And the only way that's possible is by you, the listener, supporting me directly at Patreon. So all of you who have, thank you very much. Now that's enough sales pitch. You all don't want to listen to that anymore. That was a long sales pitch. Let's get into the whiskey. This is Starlight Distilleries bourbon whiskey finished in sherry casks. This is from the Liquor Depot down the road from me. They are, according to this label, Connecticut's largest single barrel selection program, which I believe because they always have a ton of really good single barrels, and I've talked about them before. They do a great job picking single barrels. I really like their palate when they're picking. This is Starlight Distillery is interesting because this is I'm like looking at the bottle instead of at the camera, but I like the bottle, and I'm reading random information about the barrel pick, which is really plays both audio and video here, off-screen stuff. Starlight Distillery is an interesting distillery because they are a distillery that is attached to Carl T. Huber's Orchard and Winery. And typically, we've talked about this before, typically wineries that branch out into whiskey do a bad job. I don't mean that in a, like, I don't mean to say I won't try them, because I always try them, but a lot of the wineries and breweries, both wineries and breweries do better than breweries. Breweries have a real bad track record to me, but both of them, when they branch out into whiskey, usually they don't do super well. This is definitely an exception to that rule. This is fantastic, and I really, really like this bottle. So let's dig into it. Let's pour this. Love the sound of a cork. Love, love, love the sound of a cork. This is a nice dark pour. I mean, you get a nice bourbon in a sherry cask, and you get this nice golden red amber kind of deep rich color here. I like this a lot. As you can see in the video, very leggy. This is 102.8 proof, which is whatever percent alcohol. Do the math. This is 4.5 years. 51.4% alcohol. I could have done that myself, but I didn't want to. I promise I'm smart enough to do that. Believe me, I am. Maybe. This was, I don't remember what I paid for this. The store pick stuff does throw it off a little bit, so I do not remember what I paid for this. But this is a really, ooh, the nose. This is a really, really good bottle. Sorry, I took a whiff of it while I was in the middle of a sentence, and it totally threw me. I forgot how good this is. This is a terrific bottle. I also have a store pick of their regular straight up bourbon, not finished, and it is also spectacular. It will totally get an episode eventually, sometime. This is really good. 4.5 years is not old by any means, but it's not super young either. I feel like around 5 years is usually when I start to lose a lot of those youth notes. So this is a little bit young in that regards. And I definitely do get some youth notes in this. We'll talk about that when I get to them, but not a ton. This is a great job of, this was executed very well and does a great job of pushing through those. The nose on this is so rich. Right off the bat, I get a bunch of those real stereotypical deep bourbon notes, right? Apple and cherry are strong. I get the vanilla and the cinnamon. I get that dusty nuttiness from the sherry. There is some dark chocolate, but not like 85%, like 60% or 70% dark chocolate. It's a little bit sweet, a little bit creamy, not entirely bitter chocolate. Super buttery, but butter is an underrated note in bourbon. Not all bourbons have a ton of it, but the bourbons that do, I love that buttery buttery nose. It gives it this very rich, warm, like, you know, when you clarify butter, the smell of doing it, I love that. And this definitely has like the clarified butter notes to it. It's occurring to me now while I'm smelling this. This would be a great holiday whiskey. I'll have to remember that when I do the list this year, because this is very, very much so in that, like, it's very spicy in that like mulled cider or like holiday wine, kind of like, you know, I don't know what they put, but like, I guess I'm getting notes of sherry and cinnamon and maybe some like nutmeg or something. And I'm just assuming that's holiday-ish. It seems holiday-ish to me. The alcohol is a little bit on the nose. I just got that tingle, that like tickle on that last huff. I don't get that a lot anymore in my whiskey experience. And for the proof, which is not that high, 102.8, it's a little more sting than I'm used to on the nose. That might be an age thing. Ooh, the palate is so good. The notable things that I did not get on the nose, definitely there. Right away, I'm finding that bourbon barrel oakiness that I did not get on the nose. Sweet. I will say, this does suffer a touch from a lot of sherry finished whiskey. Same problem a lot of sherry finished whiskeys have, where the sherry, I think port is usually a little bit more egregious in this, but where the wine kind of overpowers some of the subtle notes in it. Like I get the nuttiness and mustiness from the sherry. I get apple, cinnamon, vanilla from the bourbon, a little bit of brown sugar. There's a touch of butter on the finish, but we'll get there. But a lot of that like intricate oakiness, and I mean, I get oak, but it's kind of general. It's not real charry. I'm not like, I couldn't, sometimes on bourbons, you can tell how charred the barrel was, right? You taste it like, ooh, that's a heavy char, or that's a toast, right? You get different flavors. I can taste oak. I couldn't tell you how charry it is. I get a little bit of grass, like green grassiness, probably the age showing up, the youth coming through. It's very good. It is sweet. It definitely has a lot of sweet. I don't know if I would call that the sweetness in that brown sugar or not. That might be like, honestly, the closest, the connection my brain made right away was like agave syrup, but that's probably not really accurate. That's probably just because that's what I put in my coffee, and so that was the first connection that I got. That might be honey. It might be more of a honey. Really dark, rich honey though, not like the bear with the nozzle on its head. The finish is really good. You get a little bit more of the oak on the finish. You get a little bit more of the spices on the finish. The alcohol presents more on the finish. Not the burn. You do a little pepper, but not the burn, but that alcohol flavor note, that ethanol, like you get that on the finish more than you do anywhere else. It's a rich finish. It is surprisingly not as long as you would think. I just did the Ugadal episode. I talked a lot about the finish lingering for a while on that. This is maybe like 15 seconds, the finish. It's a terrific 15 seconds. And then I'm kind of left with just an astringency in my mouth. But that 15, 20 seconds is really good. If I remember correctly, this is like a $60 store pick, which means it's probably 50-ish standard without the store pick if you like went to their website or to a store that had just a regular release of it. At that price, it's hard to beat this. This is very, very good. I mean, you got to consider that makes this cheaper than Blanton's, and if you can even get Blanton's at MSRP. And I would 100% rather have this every single time than Blanton's. It's definitely not the same. And I only pick Blanton's because that's a very popular $60 whiskey that sells for $120 all the time or more. For similar MSRP, and you can actually get it for MSRP, maybe even a little bit less, this is a terrific bottle. If you have a store that does a store pick, try it. I love getting store picks. Typically, they're better than the regular releases, and they are about the same price. So get a store pick if you have it. If not, try this, the regular release. I believe you can just buy these on the website. I'm going to do a little Google right now, because that's totally what you do during the middle of a podcast. I'm going to fill this air right now while I'm doing that. I think you can buy this online on their website. Shop Our Spirits, blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, it does. You can. It does not on their website. It links you to a affiliated online retailer. Type in my birthday. Do all that. And so they have a pick. They have a store pick on that affiliated website, and it's 65. At 65, this is definitely a go. 100% this is a go. If this sounds like your lane, 100% 65. This is definitely that good. If you buy it, try it. Let me know what you think. And when you let me know what you think, you can do that on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, wherever, Facebook, wherever works for you. All the links are on barrelhousepodcast.com. Email me at barrelhousepodcast@gmail.com. I answer all those emails right away. And if I get a good one, I will talk about it on the show. I get a lot of, the emails I get are a lot of, hey, I tried that, it's good, whatever. Those are great. I'm not going to talk about those in the show. If you have a question or a good insight, those will end up on the show. If you have the money to spare, patreon.com/barrelhouse goes a long way. I appreciate that. And if you just want to chit chat, eargluemedia.com/discord will get you into the Discord. And I am always in there talking about whiskey or movies, because I also do the Film Appraisers podcast with my good friend Josh, and you can find that at filmappraisers.com. So do all of that, and until next time, drink whiskey, be merry, and take care. The Barrel House is written, produced, and hosted by Joe Kane, and it's a proud member of the Earglue Media Network. Views and opinions expressed on this show belong only to the mouth they came out of, and as always, please remember to drink responsibly. Slanjava.